What is good, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of the Flex Trades SMC course. And today we're going to be speaking about daily bias and high time frame breakdown, meaning we'll go from our higher time frame analysis towards our lower time frame analysis and look at the alignment between that and how a higher time frame plays a big role inside our lower time frame entries. Because sometimes people ask me, why would it matter for a higher time frame if I'm entering on the 1 minute? And this video is going to be the answer of that. So first of all, the daily bias, meaning before going into a session, so it should be like this. This is, we're about to be, okay, it should be like this. Okay, so it is what now? 11 o'clock. It's a 2 hours, 3 hours before Asia. And since we are London, New York traders, we're going to be doing markups. This could also be done after Asia. This could be done whenever you want realistically, but what you're going to be looking at is your daily bias, as in you want to buy or you want to sell for the following day, right? So first of all, what do we see? We see these breaks of structures to the upside. I'll mark it like this. So we have an uptrend, and as I show you on the different videos, this is our market structure, to the upwards. So what are you looking at? You're looking at for price action to be in a bullish scenario, and you want to back why price action is bullish. So first of all, we got this breakup structure. First of all, we have this demand zone left behind from this breakup structure. Now, what do we have here? We see that we have bullish continuation right here with these bullish candles. So that is also looking very, very good for us. As you can see, this candle right here shows that there's good momentum going on. Now, so what you would be doing next is, we have your 4 hour alignment, and you could also look at the daily. As we've seen, the daily just broke structure of this huge spike upwards, and after that they came down pretty nicely. So what do you actually have? This is a fake out right here, and if you guys have seen my market structure video, then you would have known that we were still bullish at this area. And this is just because actually this is your market structure switching to bullish. And as you guys know, we had this huge downtrend for about 4 or 5 months, and then we see we have this chalk to the upside, which has been new. This is your high, even this is your high, which gets broken, as you guys can see. And what do we have? We take out these lows from these early buyers right here, and then we consolidate a little bit, but we still maintain our higher highs, right? This is still higher lows. We still maintain the upwards structure, as you guys can see. And then what do we have? Price breaking these daily structures. So we know that we are looking very, very bullish on the 4 hour and the daily time frame. So there is really no point looking for sells. But I will also show you on the 1 hour time frame that you could potentially look for internal structure, which is going to be the 1 hour, 15 minute, etc. So we have a 1 hour break of structure right here. And then where's my toolbar? Right here. We have this demand zone right here. So now what you're looking for is probably for Asia to end, which is, well, Asia ended, now it's London. As we've seen, nothing really happened during Asia session. We have these double tops right here. We have this liquidity right here. So you mark out this like that, but you're gonna understand this easier in the following videos where we speak about liquidity. So I'll just cut back here, and we're gonna just look at 4 hour only, and I'll show you how price is gonna be looking at the buy section. So for let's say we are Thursday until next week, probably we're gonna see buys rolling over. So what do we see? Exactly as we expected. The next day, the next week. So it doesn't matter if the weekend is coming through, because price action remains the same. It's not that price action resets. And until we have some bearish confirmations, we are still looking for buys. And I'll show you that we're going to keep on looking for buys. As you can see, breakout structure, 4 hour breakout structure, as you guys can see, very, very nicely. So we have no reason to be looking for sells, because instead of looking for a small retracement sell, let's say, for example, like this, right, where you're catching, okay, you're catching a decent R. Instead of that, you could be looking for a continuation buy like this, right? Let's say, for example, and then you're targeting any daily level that is high level. And as you can see, you always gotta make sure that you have these daily zones marked, but we will discuss that in further videos in the next video, I think. So yeah, what do we see? Very, very nicely taking these lows and then coming back up very, very nicely. And I won't be surprised if you see bullish continuations. So actually you take these highs as well, so that's very, very normal. So now you want to wait a little bit for the market to do its thing. You're gonna wait and see. We're still inside our POY. We mitigated it quite a few times, but that does not mean that it's invalid. And as we see, price makes a new high. So our buy bias was still correct, which aligns with the lower time frame, because if you look at the lower time frame on the 1 hour, the structure, internal structure never really shifted bearish except for right here. And internal structure is very, very less likely to hold. As you guys can see, this was, let's say for example, a valid break of structure or change of character to the downside, and then this would be a supply zone, and as you can see, it did not hold for a single bit, right? So that shows a lot that the higher time frame is very, very important, which we should always keep in mind. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you some examples that it doesn't matter how long it takes, because let's say we've been bullish since 29th of July, and it's been 1 month and we're still bullish. Now let's see when price will switch, and when we can switch our bias, which I've shown on the market structure, which is the daily bias. So people would call this a break of structure. I wouldn't call this. I'm still bullish on this. As you guys can see very, very nicely, instead of taking such a small sell here, anywhere here, because you have no confirmation here yet, neither do you have here, you sweep these highs and come back. This could have been a potential sell, but as you guys can see, we go higher, and now we're looking for a retracement toward this zone. Price comes into our zone, and now what does price do? It takes out early buyers very, very nicely, and then price makes it run. It breaks these highs, then it comes back, it fakes out the early sellers, and then shoots back up, which is very nice. It goes for a retest. It takes out these zones and mitigates our zone for about the 6th time, which is going to be a little bit discouraging, because tapping so much in a zone is not really good. So what we're looking at now is at the daily. We're looking for our daily close. Yeah, so as we've seen, that daily close was not very bullish. So if you look at the 4 hour now, internally we are not internal, but just on the overall bias, we're now switching bearish. So I flipped the charts because, as you guys have seen, I'm more of a long guy. So let's see what price action does next. So essentially, price should hold this zone right here, which is the zone that caused the change of character to happen. And realistically, until this zone comes, we should still be able to maintain our bearish bias. And we'll look on at the daily level as well whenever price comes inside the area. So let's see, price comes inside the area, runs up very, very nicely, perfect area. As you guys can see, price mitigates a second time, takes out these lows with it, and makes a decent run before coming back, because you had that break of structure, so you needed a retracement. Could have called a nice little retracement by there, but as we said, we were still bearish, but price went too fast a little bit, and now you're switching bullish, of course, because if you look at it, this is when, yeah, as you guys can see, you break that high. So what did you have here? If you just looking at the daily, you could have still been bullish, because looking at it, this is a high and this is a low, and then you maintain this low very, very nicely. But as you can see, on the 4 hour, our structure was good, and we could have caught these nice little cells, which were right here. We had cells right here, so that was valid. Maybe because the weekly structure has been bullish and stayed bullish, that doesn't mean that you're not gonna be able to get some cells in. For example, daily could be very, very bullish, or the daily could deviate from the bullish bias to the bearish bias to fake out traders. But during that, you can still get potential entries, which you've seen here. And this was a nice little retest towards the zone after causing that break of these lows. So this shows just that, if you get the correct zones and the correct structure shift at the correct time, then you're good to go. So now we're in a bearish, bullish bias, as you guys can see. We're looking for probably this zone to hold worst case, because that's the one that caused a whole run up. Of course, we could see a retracement here and bounce here, but if this zone fails, it does not mean that this that we're gonna be switching in a bearish bias. My bad. So let's see. Okay, so now we're making these higher highs very nicely, and now we're looking for this zone, potential retrace, bounce, whatever. But you're still in the bullish bias, right? And I will show you whenever price steps in that it aligns with the lower time frame, right? So what do we have? We're making these new highs very, very nicely. This is not a breakup structure yet, so I'm gonna be waiting. Now we tap into this zone. What do we do? We have that small bounce. Now let's see if you could have played base of this bounce. What do you have on the 15-minute? You have that, I'm pre-running this course, but that's not a problem. I'll just show slowly. You had that change of character flip right there. Do you ever get a retest? You don't really do get a retest yet, but let's see if you do ever get a retest. Essentially on the 1 minute, you probably could have caught an entry right there. I can't go in the 1 minute here because TradingView won't let me go there. But as you guys will see, it's just it just shows that your zone was very, very valid, and on the 4 hour making these good bounces. Just people would call this a change of character of this one, but the market structure is still in the bullish bias as long as we hold this low right here. And as you guys can see, price can come multiple times. It doesn't really matter, right? So now you're looking at this lows. You gotta consider the lows as well, right? So now let's see what happens. Okay, price comes inside a zone. Like if you look at the daily time frame, on the day, like I would say the higher time frame analysis slash bias should be done on the daily and the 4 hour. And when the 4 hour is a little bit choppy like this, when it deviates, you want to make sure that you look at the daily as well. And if you see price bounces perfectly from our zone, now if this zone does not hold, you can look for some bearish potential bias. And as you can see, price bounces very, very beautifully. So anyone who was bearish here, you could have caught your entry and a sell here, but buyers also had their opportunity. So again, both sides won, so you should be fine. But I think we're gonna see the longer run in the buys. So we did have a good run for the buys, which were higher than the sells, which shows that the bias is buys. Okay, so now we're breaking these lows. So now we could be switching to a bearish bias, right? So we do this change of character right here. So now let's see, what do we have? Nice retracement, very, very nicely. Could see a retracement toward this area, or just breaking these highs like we said, very, very nicely. And this just shows that these higher time frame bias is very, very needed. You can't go inside, you can't go in a day without having a bias, because you will just get chopped up, because you will enter in zones that are not supposed to hold or are not supposed to be traded in and whatsoever. And as we've spoken about, this caused a change of character, so we want this zone to hold, of course. So let's see. You could mark it out as this zone, or you could just mark out this low has to hold. That's also fine. You could do this whatever, but I'm just marking the demand zone to see the potential retracement or drop or the bounce. My bad. So what do you have? Let me see. Now we run the lows nicely. We come for the retest, and we don't break structure yet because well, now we do. And as you guys can see, the bearish bias wins again. And yeah, there does a price run. And as you guys can see, this is probably FOMC. Yeah, that's probably FOMC. And see, the news does not matter because our bias was bearish from the start. Because if you look at it, I switched my charts. We knew that price was bearish, right? And this was just a sweep of the highs. And let's go and see. Boom, price shoots down very, very nicely. And that's about very, very good profits. And then what do we have? A break of structure very nicely. Price coming down. Price melting down massively and drastically, which is the bias we're looking for. We're looking for the correct bias, because yes, you could always take internal sells or internal bias, internal structure. You could always take counter trend trades, but why would you catch a B setup with 3R whilst you could catch a A plus setup with maybe 10R? Because you're in the trend continuation, right? You're looking for a continuation buy or sell that is going to give you a new high, probably. If you're aiming for a new high on the 4 hour, then you could be looking for some very, very juicy profits and very, very good risk reward by just following the trend. It's very, very easy, bro. Like, the trend is your friend, simple as that. And people use this term a lot, and it's very, very true, because the trend will help you in any way. And as you guys can see, we've been bearish. This is the reverse, by the way, so you guys don't get messed up. We've been bearish since here, and price bounced. So if you took a sell all the way up here, let's say for example, we took a sell, right? Even worst case at this this retest, right? Took a sell at this retest. So this setup, it does take a while, right? It does take about 1 month. No, it takes 7 days, my bad. 10 days, but that's 12, 16, 17, well, let's say 16 hours just by being the correct side. But if you're looking to take a sell, let's say for example, from here, and your stop is above this high, well, yes, this is a nice setup, but this is gonna be, well, nobody's taking a setup like that. But let's say like this is nice, but it's a 1 to 8, and it's very, very risky because you can easily get stopped out as well. So that's very important for the daily bias and the the breakdown of it. I hope this makes sense for you guys, and if it doesn't, then feel free to let me know. But Like the daily buys is very, very important. And as you guys can see, I posted in the Discord. For example, let me show you very simply. Where is this markups, right? What do we have? We had this retracement on EU, right? And people were switching bearish. What still bullish structure? What did I say? 1 hour. We have this internal shock. We have this liquidity built up, and then we had this 50-minute zone. This high needs to break. And what did we have right here? If you go to the live charts, well, I apologize, but if you look at that live chart right now, um, this is reverse. My bad. So as you guys can see, price broke that high as we expected. Well, we didn't expect it. We told that it has to break, which it did. And as you guys can see, we broke that high very, very nicely. We have the break of structure, so we know mark this could see a potential retracement before bouncing as we expected. We are still bullish, and the DXY is running a bit crazy, looking for retraces to buy, caught a small buy, this and that. It's very, very important, right? So I hope you guys made any, like, I hope this makes sense, because I know it's hard to understand this, but like it's very important in market structure and just higher time frame analysis, that you should always look at the higher time frame, especially the 4 hour and the 1 day. You can always look at the weekly time frame, but the weekly time frame is going to be a little bit slower. But essentially, the higher the time frame, the more conviction there is, of course. But taking a bigger trade, right? You could take like a 500 pip trade with the weekly time frame, but you're just gonna wait a little bit, right? That's just part of the game. But as I've said, it's very, very important to make sure that you're having these higher time frame analysis, the higher time frame bias, and the breakdown for yourself, and making sure that you mark out these zones, because a 15-minute candle can easily bounce from a 4 hour breaker block, which we did right here. This just shows the power of it, and if we refine that zone, perfect bounce. This just shows it. So I hope this video made sense. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace.